Hi there, this is Shauna from the Foil Fox. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I am sharing a new project. This is a new stamp set called Sweetly Scented by Penny Black. It has this, as always, Penny Black is known for their floral displays, and this one has these wonderful daisies. And it just gives this very simple but elegant look to them. And we'll get into that project in just a minute, but I want to show you some of the brand new things from Penny Black real quick. These are some embossing folders. This is noted, and you know that they had that script stamp set that did that. Now they have an embossing folder. This is dots and dashes, beautiful pattern, rounded. Where you can use this embossing folder so many ways. They have some new dies. This is Frame It that has 3 different frames. This is their octagon, which you can cut the octagon separate from the background. Same with the all-in-one oval here. You can cut out the oval separately if you want. Then there is the note edgers. You know they have so many edgers, and it has a matching stamp set. Same with a welcome edger and their matching stamp set. Then they have something new. They have 3 butterflies. This one is Flutter. You use the stencil and then cut it out. This one is actually Ariel that I did earlier, but just to show you, it has these wonderful patterns on them you can create. You can mix and match. You can do so many things. This one is Floral Wings, and it creates, you can see that pattern really quickly. This one is Ariel, which you may have seen my project that I did a few days ago using Ariel, and it creates this butterfly. Here's a butterfly that I had left over. You can see the patterns that you can create with that. Then they have some new stamp sets, and the new stamp sets are Super Day. These are sentiment sets, sorry. And then Bloom with Grace. There's, as you know, their sentiments are always so lovely. And they have a ton of them there that you can use for different occasions. This is Purring, which is those cute little kitties and that you can use, especially like with the oval, that oval die set or the octagon. They'd be very sweet in that. This is Captivate, 2 smaller florals. Then this is Scent of Spring, which they have 4 different motifs here, floral motifs, and one with the little birdhouse. Then Nature's Jewel. There's so many ways you can use these stamps. There's 4 of them for that one. And this is Birdhouse Beauty. This one was done by Jill Foster Meander. She did a beautiful job on that one. And this is New Day. Look at that floral display. Beautiful. Jill Foster did a beautiful job on that too. This is Idyllic, which is kind of a lilac-like floral display. And this is a duplicate. I already did that one before. Sorry, that's New Day. And then we have Confidant. This has the birds, which they also are known for, as you probably know. Then they have Vivid, which is these poppy-like flowers, and then finally the Sweetly Scented, which is the one that we're going to be using today. Here's a quick look, again, of what we're going to be doing today. And so we're going to just dive in, and this is a cling rubber stamp, and you can see it has those 3 daisy-like flowers. I have a 5x7 piece of hot press watercolor paper, and I have a matching card base out of cream, so that fits perfectly. So setting that all aside, I'm going to use some delicate tape so that it doesn't tear my paper, that I'll need to mask off some of the edges. You can use this purple tape, or you can use that delicate surface, or you can use Post-it. But I'm using the delicate tape. This is a 3M product. I'll link it in the supply list. But this, I just cut a 3/8 inch little strip of tape. You can see I just used my quick trimmer there. It cuts the tape really quickly and smoothly and straight, which is so important. And then I have a another piece of tape that I'm going to use, that I'm going to just line this up really carefully, and I'm going to have it be about 2.5 inches from the edge of the paper. And I'm just lining it up on my grid there so I can get it straight, but I'm also going to use my ruler just to make sure that it's on there straight, and that I'm not going off to Joneses on that. So I'm getting that. Measuring is always, measure twice, so before you do anything, just to make sure. Now I've got bundled sage and peeled paint, and I've just got an ink blender here, and I'm just lightly, it's very lightly, I'm just going from the bottom and up that one edge with the green, but mainly with the bundled sage, and then just darkening the bottom with the peeled paint. This is you can use watercolors doing it this way as well. You probably see Mimi Jordan do this, but she uses usually watercolors, which you can use. I find it easier to just use this using the blending brush, and or I have these sponge foam that really work nicely. I'm doing the rest of it in antique linen. So I just have the green at the bottom kind of fading up to the top, and then filling it in with antique linen. Now I'm going to just use clear water with my brush, because we know that these are distressings and they're water reactive, so they make those little kind of water spots, which I like so much. So I've mounted this in my stamp positioner, and now that I have the stamp just the way I want it, I'm going to peel off the paint. The tape, excuse me, and you'll see why I did that. And I have some distressings, and I have some Tombow markers. I'm using a green Tombow marker right now, just to do the stems. I like to use Tombow markers for this because it's very precise. I can get into just the little areas that I need to put the color down. I do use ink also, but it's really nice to get these stems in there and to kind of get the base in there. I'm using bundled sage now, and I'm going to go in and I'm inking those leaves in. I like to use the just little mini distress ink cubes, because they are small. They can get into small areas. Remember, I used a little bit of crushed olive on the tips of these leaves. I misted it. I have that new mister from Spellbinders, and it gives a really fine mist. It's really nice that way. But I'm just continuing to use those three colors that was peeled paint, bundled sage, and crushed olive. Now I'm going to go to the flowers. And the flowers, I'm starting out with scattered straw. These are, of course, all distress inks. I have them all listed in the supply list. And I'm just inking that up, and then with the scattered straw. Now I'm going to do that again with the same ink. I'm going to spritz it lightly, and now you can see more of the flower coming through. With using the wild honey, one of my favorite colors is wild honey, and I'm just going to put that on near the centers and some on the tips too. And I have ripe persimmon here. This is again going to go towards the center of the flowers. I'm going to blend it out with my fingers, and I'm just going to add a little bit of that orange. Now, using Rusty Hinge, I'm going to do those kind of half dome centers with Rusty Hinge. And again, I can kind of get in there with the small. I'm much better at using the mini cubes. I know where my ink is going much easier. Then I'm going to use a little bit of ground espresso to make those centers a little bit darker. But first, I'm using a damp brush, and I'm kind of blending out these colors so that it has a more watercolory look, and it gets rid of some of the unevenness. I'm going to go back, and I have stamped on an acrylic block some of that scattered straw that I'm just adding to it and using dampening this with some water. Got a fairly small paintbrush that I'm using here. And then I'm going to go smaller paintbrush when I work with those centers. But first, let's get all of these leaves all kind of moistened and the ink blended and smoothed out. I like the different colors on it. Now I'm going to do those centers. Get them just moistened a little bit. Now the ground espresso, just little bits down at the bottom and on the edges. I'm going to use my fingers to blend, take off any ink I don't want or to blend it out. So now I'm going to just take this Tombow marker, and I'm just putting a little bit of darkness. I'm just putting a little bit of shading actually right at the base of these leaves, and I'm then going to just smooth it out a little bit with some damp brush on my and then just smoothing this out. I'm doing a little bit more shading with my Tombow marker. My Tombow marker is a little bit darker than these inks that I've used, so it works really well for the shading, and you can see it just adds a little bit more dimension to your leaves, even though these are simple and small leaves. And again, using my brush, I'm using a smaller brush to really get in there and be able to paint these without going outside the line, so to speak. And I just continue to do little touch-ups with, now I'm going back to the flowers. I used a little green there, and now I'm going back to the flowers with scattered straw, just to make it a little bit more yellow. Now I have some black on my acrylic. This is black soot, and I'm just taking a tiny brush and just kind of darkening that area and giving little tiny dots of black. And I wanted to just crisp up the green a little bit, so I'm using some peeled paint here and just crisping it up. Now I'm going to add on the tape that I had saved from where I had it before, because I just want to add some splatters just in the area that where the background, the green and antique linen background is. So I'm just placing that back just lightly back to where it was. And if I was smart, I would have put some on the also on the other part, the blank part of the watercolor panel. But for now, I just did it with just having the tape there. I have some splatters of peeled paint and some wild honey and just a little bit of ripe persimmon up near the top. And now that that is done, I've taken it out for now, out of my stamp positioner, and I'm choosing a sentiment. And I love this Super Day stamp set. It has some really great ones that I really enjoy. And this one, so I've chosen one of them. I've mounted it into my stamp positioner, and I'm stamping it with Shady Lane, which is a Versaclear ink, which is for watercolor. It's a waterproof ink. And so there it is. It's all finished. And by the way, I let it dry very thoroughly, because that any of your waterproof paints or inks do take time to dry. They have a long open time. So I've added double stick tape, and I'm just adhering it to my card base. And that is going to complete that card, and it is just so easy. I think it took me only about a half an hour to do, and that's odd for me. Usually it takes much longer. But here you can see all the detail to it and how just very simply elegant it is. I'm in love with it. You can do this with so many of the penny black stamps, especially ones that I've shown you today that are new. So I hope you give it a whirl. And just to recap, where I use Sweetly Sensed scented, and then Super Day for the sentiments. But we have all of those wonderful penny black stamps, dies, and embossing folders that are in our shop. There's a link down below for everything that we have that's penny black, and we have a very extensive inventory of them. And then in the coming days, you will see more videos from me just demonstrating a few more of these stamps from penny black, because I'm just in love with them. I want to thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.